Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday to you. My name is Tim Harris. It's 10 o'clock. It's time for 10 with Tim. We go verse by verse. We are about to finish up the book of Numbers. Not today, but in a couple of days. We're in the last few chapters. We're kind of hitting 2 chapters a day. Today, it's chapters 32 and 33 of Numbers. I hope you read ahead. I hope you're with me. Are you good? You doing all right? Chapter 32 is an interesting account. You'll notice now, I guess these chapters sort of fix the turning point. We're no longer wandering in the wilderness. We absolutely now are anticipating entering into the promised land, which is what makes chapter 32 such a pivotal moment. The tribes of Reuben and Gad come to Moses, and they just simply have a request, a proposal. They are livestock farmers, and this land on this side of the Jordan River is actually perfect. It's just perfect in their mind. Perfect for pasture land. It's perfect for what they need for their families and for their future. So the request is, can we just stay? We just stay right here. And Moses kind of loses his mind. I mean, seriously, when I'm reading, I'm like, gosh, Moses, chill, dude. It's a reasonable request. So I had to stop and just sort of think through, why does this triggers Moses. It just triggers him. He accuses them of everything. He really seems to doubt their motives. He thinks this is some sort of rebellion. Literally, Moses totally flashes back to like chapters 13 and 14, where the whole spy rebellion, when they first got to this spot, 40 years ago. Again, give Moses a break. I guess technically this is historical trauma. He's traumatized by the fact that 40 years ago, they were at the same spot, and the people of Israel decided to turn around. They didn't go into the promised land. And because of that, they were punished, or the consequence was they don't want the promised land. Okay, you don't get the promised land. You get the wilderness, and you're going to die in the wilderness. So Moses has been wandering around, with the people of Israel for 40 years because those dummies wouldn't come into the land when Moses brought him here the first time. So now when Moses brings him here the second time, and you got people going, I think we're good. We're not going to go into the promised land. We're good. Can you understand why Moses loses his mind? Because Moses is thinking, oh my goodness, what if you make God angry again, and I got to wander for another 40, I'm 200 years old. I can't wander around for another 40 years, with you morons, So again, historical trauma. Moses has been here before. And when he was here before, the people said, we're not going to step into the promised land. And look what it cost him. And so, again, Moses just kind of freaks out. He just kind of freaks out. It's historical trauma. I think it's also just the fear of discouragement spreading. Again, it smells like laziness. You know what I mean? It's just really easy to go, we're good. We're good. Because, it's easier to stay where we are than fight the battles and go where God wants us to be. There's a whole sermon right there. It's easier to stay where you are in the comfortable place than to push forward into what God wants for you to have. Because, there's a promised land that God's promising for them, but there's some battles to fight. And honestly, you got 2 tribes now, 2 out of 12, just saying, we're good. We're just going to stay here. Y'all can have the whole promised land. We're good right here. But what they're doing is they're quitting early. They're asking, or I don't know, Moses hears them asking, can we just stay where we are and then we don't have to fight? We don't want the promised land. We'll just stay here. It feels like quitting early. It seems like putting personal needs or personal comfort ahead of the community mission and needs. You know what I mean? We're good right here. It feels like that breaking solidarity with the community so that they can just have a comfortable life, stay where they are, and avoid the hard work that is to come. So Moses' brain goes to all those places. And so he becomes angry. He tells him the whole story of when we were here before, and this is what your parents did, and look what it cost us. So Moses rehearses the same story. But they come back to Moses. And this is where it's good. Motive and communication matter. And here, Moses hears a request, and I think in some ways he misunderstands their motive, or he's not sure of their motive. And the motive matters. They're actually not trying to put personal comfort ahead. They're completely willing to go fight with their brothers. And that becomes the kind of negotiated obedience here. God had not necessarily intended that half the, that a sixth of the tribes live outside of the promised land. But it's negotiated and it becomes acceptable, permissible within God's will, as long as they still promise to fight. They still got to go fight. This is solidarity with your brothers and with the rest of Israel. It would be rather selfish to stay where you are and to make everybody else go fight without you, without your help. So here they sort of thread that needle between pursuing your own selfish comfort and also being faithful to the community responsibility, the debt that you owe your community. And I think it's kind of a great story. So they really do. They sort of make this compromise where they will go, they will fight, they won't come back to their homes here, they won't settle in their homes until everybody else is settled. So it's a great compromise. It turns out that half of the tribe of Manasseh goes with them. And so all is well here. It's negotiated obedience, I guess I would say. Have you ever, though, on Moses' side here, Moses isn't crazy. He's actually a really good leader and he knows people well. Are you ever tempted just to settle for close enough? This ain't the promised land, but it's close enough. I can see the promised land from here, oh my goodness, how often in your life have you stopped like 6 inches from where God actually wanted you to be because you either wanted to just stop where you were, or you weren't really willing to fight the fight that you were supposed to fight in order to win the prize that you were supposed to win, But one way or the other, this is negotiated and it turns out to be permissible. But as I say, I think too often we are very willing to settle for close enough and we miss the best that God has promised us. Also notice in verse 28, Moses gave orders to Eleazar and to Joshua and the leaders of the clans regarding Gad and Reuben here, because he's going to die and he knows he's not going to be there. So now it's like he's having to delegate future tasks to future leaders because he realizes that his time is limited. Now, chapter 33 this is one of those chapters where it's like, well, I tell you, you can skim. Chapter 33 is a travel log. Oh my goodness. Like, you ever go on a vacation and your mama decides to do this? Like, she decides to keep a diary and write down everywhere you ate and everything you did. And you're just thinking, good golly, mama, who wants to read that? No, but nobody wants to read that, The funny thing here is verse 2, don't miss it. God told him to keep it. At the Lord's direction, Moses kept this. So God said, Moses, I want you to write down, every place y'all stop and all the places you eat, take pictures. You got to keep a record of it. So every single stop is recorded here. There are 42 stations from Ramesses in Egypt all the way up to, the Jordan River next to Jericho. Every single stop, every Stuckey's, every Bucky's, every single place where somebody had to stop and puke or use a bathroom. They wrote it all down. Every single stop. But also understand it's more than just geography here. This is spiritual biography. And I think it shows something of the heart of God, who values not just the destination, but the journey with you. God's not just getting you where you're going. God's very, very involved in this road trip of your life. That's why when he saved you, he didn't just bring you straight to heaven. There's a journey involved and there's joy in the journey. And I think this chapter just shows you that God values the journey and he just wants to make sure that it's memorialized in this way. It's a record of amazing moments of salvation and victory. It's marked by moments of sin and shame. The loss of Aaron is noted again, the place where that happened, when that happened. It's actually very helpful for us to have this so that we can sort of timestamp the journey ourselves. So it's a record for us. But just understand that memory is a part of faithfulness. It's very, very hard to be faithful in the future when you don't remember where you've been in the past and what God has brought you through. And so memory is a part of faithfulness, and I think God knows that, and that's part of why he orders this here. The end of chapter 33 is a stern warning about making sure that when you get to the promised land, you drive out. You know, the nations that are there, they don't belong there. It's not theirs. God's doing something different with them. Drive them out. Get them out. If you don't, they're going to be splinters in your eyes and thorns in your sides. Splinters in your eye. I had something in my eye this morning. It drove me nuts. I don't even know what it was. It was small, you know. But that's the point here. Whatever God tells you to do, you do it. You do it all. You do complete obedience, because whatever you leave unfinished, it is going to be a splinter in your eye, a thorn in your flesh, thorn in your side. What God is saying here is absolutely a stern warning that is actually also telling them what their future is. But at this point, there's still all this hope that they'll actually do what God says. If you fail to drive out the people who live in the land, those who remain will be like splinters in your eyes. Oh my goodness. I can't say God didn't warn them. Let's pick up here tomorrow, chapters 34 and 35. Again, 2 chapters, and then you'll notice we'll be finishing Numbers on Friday, chapter 36. And so we're almost done. 2 chapters tomorrow and then 1 chapter on Friday, and we'll be done. Love you guys. I'll see you tomorrow, Lord willing, 10 o'clock.